All right, so we are joined from Belhaven University by my friend, the athletic trainer for the Department of Dance, Victoria Fauntroy. We thank you so much for joining us. We got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for all of our friends at Madison Central, Rosa Scott, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. We are in the health science career cluster, and you're in such a new and upcoming field and such a needed field that I think is very interesting. And it is a kind of a newer area of health science. We all know about athletic training, but you're kind of taking it into a new direction. So before we get into what all it is you do at Belhaven, you are from the DMV, from the Washington, D.C. area, and went to George Mason University there in Fairfax. So tell us about your educational background and how you started in athletic training.
Sure. Yeah. So I am from the DMV, Virginia. And I didn't know about athletic training until my senior year of high school. Found out about it and then decided to shadow the athletic trainer at my high school. I was there for 2 weeks with football camp and was like, this is exactly what I want to do. So I then went to George Mason University and got my undergraduate degree in athletic training, graduated in 2018, and then I stayed and got my master's in kinesiology in 2020. And right now I'm actually going for my doctorate of athletic training that hopefully I will be done in 2025.
Oh,
So
wow. Where are you getting your doctorate?
I'm getting it through Moravian University, which is in Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Now, and you talked about, you started out doing the football, you did lacrosse, soccer, basketball, you were on the sideline for all these sporting events. And then even especially with the advent of concussion care and these new things that people are finding out, and even the advances in technology, there's now more and more need for athletic trainers, not just at these college and high school sporting events, but in health clubs. And in your case, you're in a Department of Dance. So talk about some of these growing trends, because this is a field that has seen a huge surge in demand in the last few years.
Yeah, athletic trainers, we typically have been found to be in high school and colleges, but we're really there to help the physically active in general. So another emerging settings, performing arts is emerging, but like you can work with musicians, you can work with the rodeo, with the military, with Cirque du Soleil, basically anywhere that there are people who are actively doing something, some type of physical activity, an athletic trainer can be there and provide care. We have people that work with Amazon and Delta Airlines and different warehouses like that, just to help those who are working like with their hands all the time so that they don't get injured. And so we think about athletic trainers from an athletic perspective, but we're really there to just help in any type of vein where people are being physically active. So yeah, whether you want to do dance, music, rodeo, NASCAR, football, soccer, all the things.
Now, one thing that's cool about this field is that it is a part of health science. And we have a lot of kids, they think health science and they think only hospital, clinic, nurses, doctors, therapists, and all those are great. But this is a field you don't have to really go to school for as long as these other ones. Now, it's still a difficult certification process, but like you did the 4 years college, and then you did the master's program, and then you were ready to jump right in. So this isn't something like being a doctor where you got to go undergrad and then 3 years of medical school and then your residency. You can get into this a lot quicker than some of these other health science fields.
Yeah. So they've actually gone away with the 4-year undergrad degree that I got. So now it's actually a entry-level master's degree. So it'll take about 2 or 3 years. So you could have an undergrad degree in business and then decide, hey, I want to be an athletic trainer, so you can go get your master's in athletic training and get that done in 2 or 3 years. And then you would go through the certification process. You would go through the clinical practicum aspects that I would have done as an undergraduate as well. But yeah, I mean, once you pass the certification exam, you are then in a certified athletic trainer. You get licensed or registered in whatever state that you would be practicing in, and then you can go and practice right then and there. So it is a lot quicker than if you wanted to go be a doctor of some sort.
Yeah,
sure.
and the cool part about it is you're dealing with science, you're dealing with a health field, but you're really getting to work day to day with people. You really get to see the results of, this person was injured, now they're able to perform, whether it be just a John Doe at the health club, or whether it be a college professional athlete, or in your case, a dancer. So it really is We have a lot of people say they want to be a physical therapist, and I'm like, well, they really don't deal as much with the patients face to face. They're more in the office designing the programs. An athletic trainer is completely different. They are, they're the person at the site, at the practice facility. They're interacting with people every day.
Yeah, I consider athletic trainers the first line of defense. We are typically the first ones to be there when somebody gets injured. We are there to evaluate the injury. We can diagnose it, we can then treat it, and then we can send them out. So it's really cool that we are able to be there for the entire process of an injury, and really just get to know the person and just get to walk them through that. That's one of the best things that I really enjoy about athletic training. It is so relational. You really get to see people grow and see people change. Especially here at the collegiate level, I get to see my students from 4 years get to grow and walk through different injuries and things like that. And so, yeah, I think physical therapists, we love them. They do great work, but athletic trainers, I think we provide a lot of help, a lot of and a lot of things to the medical field. So.
Yeah, and the cool thing about athletic trainer, well, especially in your case or in any type of sporting event, you always got a free seat, so you always get
Absolutely.
a front row seat. So, and your time
Absolutely.
in high school, and then even your time at George Mason, you got to see a lot of sporting events.
That was one of the best things, honestly. Friday Night Lights, being on the sideline, like whether I was out of high school or when I was working with the college lacrosse team, like there's nothing like having the adrenaline. Like I wasn't even playing, but I had the adrenaline of just being on the field and just watching everybody play. It's really nothing like it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like we really get to see the things like day to day. Like I know when my students are good and I know when they're not. And I wouldn't know that if I wasn't here on a daily basis from 8 to 5, 8 to 9, whatever it is. And that's what athletic trainers get to bring. We get to bring this really intimate relationship with students, just getting to know them and just besides their injury, but getting to know them as people and get to walk them through stuff. So.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because if you're a sports person, you're an athlete, maybe you don't have the ability to play on the college level. This gives you an opportunity to stay involved in the sports. It gives you the ability to stay involved in a team, and especially on these colleges, even in the smaller colleges, they always need student help. You can get experience hands on, and even if you don't want to do the collegiate training, you can have training experience and then move into the private sector or for a doctor's office
Yep.
or a rehab office. So there really are a lot of opportunities in college to still be a part of the sports that you love in high school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We really are everywhere. If you're interested in athletic training or anything like that, I highly suggest reaching out to either a college athletic trainer or your high school athletic trainer, just and asking if you can just come shadow for a day, just to see what we do. Because everybody's going to be different. Every setting is going to be different. Game days are going to be different than just normal rehab days. So to be able to see that. And yeah, I knew I wasn't going to be a college athlete or like, this big athlete or whatever, but just being on, like, I still get so much fulfillment just being able to be like with my students, or when I was with football and soccer, like just being with them, watching them achieve their goals, is just as fulfilling. So.
Now, when it comes to a degree program or any type of program for athletic training, what are some sciences they need to focus on now, even in high school or even in undergrad and college? Because obviously you have to know the human body like the back of your hand. So just off the top of my head, you would obviously need to have anatomy and physiology classes. What are some other type of classes somebody would need to prepare for this?
Yeah, definitely anatomy and physiology is a big one. If you have any type of like, biology and chemistry, we don't use as much. That gets more a little bit towards like doctors and nurses and stuff. But anatomy and physiology, if you have like a biomechanics course or like a physics course, physics will give you kind of just the foundation, because biomechanics is just physics, but with the body. So anything like that, trying to think off the top of my head, any type of like CPR course, if you can get CPR certified, that would be a huge thing. If you can take like a nutrition course, any type of like, if there's a class that teaches you how to take care of like first aid or like wound care, stuff like that. I think that would also be really helpful. And then once you get into college, you'll have more of the specific, like learning how to evaluate like an ankle sprain or a concussion or whatever, stuff like that. But yeah, in high school, if you have any of those, I would take any type of health science course that you can, whatever your school provides. I would try and take
Yeah,
that.
and we're going to actually send this also to our friends over at the health science program at our career center. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for some of those kids as well, because some of them are like, look, I like health science, but I don't want to be in the nursing school. I don't want to go to nursing school and be stressed out full time for 2 years.
Right.
There are, several options in health science to get involved in. Now, along those same lines, we actually have a female trainer up here at Velma Jackson, but you really don't see a whole lot of female trainers. So why is there a growing need to get more females and minorities in this field?
Yeah, I mean, I think females, we just bring a different type of vibe than men do, but we need men also. I think as women, I kind of bring that nurturing side to my students. Like I act as their mom. I want them to be okay, but we can also be tough. Like we also bring that toughness. We also bring that just like, hey, like tough love type of thing. And so I think females, it is getting better. Like we are seeing a lot more women in the field. I think minorities is also starting to grow, but I think you don't know what you can be until you see yourself there, right? So I think this is a great platform for students. Like a lot of people probably would not know that I'm here unless like I'm out in spaces to be seen. And so the more that people get to see people like me, or others in the emerging settings, or just in general, whether you're Black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, you come from, until you see it, you don't know that you can actually be there. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, obviously, we got to talk about what you do at Belhaven, because you're kind of pushing the envelope. This is kind of a new field of athletic training. With I think you called it dance science, because people don't think about ballerinas and dancers going through extreme physical duress. They deal with serious injuries. You're wrapping ankles. You're showing them rehab exercise. You're wrapping knees. You're icing down hips. You're dealing with falls. So what are some of the things that you deal with? Because I don't think a lot of people understand there is a new need for this in the arts.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have this idea that dancers are just like really cute and they like to have their hands above their heads and they're just like it's so simple and just easy. But like that's a testament to what they do, is that the fact that you all think it's easy, they've put so much time into be able to making it look easy. Like when we think of like LeBron James, we see him out here like dunking and doing all these incredible things. And do we think that's easy? Like, do we think we could go be LeBron James? I don't think so. And so I think for me, with my job, I want to give dancers the respect that I feel like they deserve. They have worked just as hard as any soccer player, basketball player, football player, whatever, to get to this level of activity. And the realization, like the reality is that, yeah, their hips, they use their hip, like they get their leg all the way up to their ear. Can the normal person do that? I don't think so. They have to go on stage and they have to remember, sometimes professional ballet dancers, they have to remember a 2.5 hour ballet. And for the men, because they're partnering, they not only have to know their part, but they have to know their partner's part as well.
Wow.
And they have to make it look easy, and they have to count, and they have to smile, and they have to do they have to be theatrical at the same time. And so here at Belhaven, I just really try to respect them. I try to give them the same respect that I would give any other athlete, because they are athletes. To me, I don't see them as any less than any type of athlete. I tell them all the time, I'm like, you are athletic. What you are doing is athletic, and the body is the body, like whether you're a lacrosse player or a soccer player, like we all have the same muscles, we all have the same bones. It's just the way that we move them.
Yep.
And so for them, I just try to give them the best that I can and try to take care of them the best that I can. And so like I would do with any other sport, I go watch their classes, I go watch their rehearsals so that I can understand, okay, this is what their choreography is asking them to do. How can I then help their rehab or their strength training to get them prepared for this thing? And so that's a lot of what I do, but they get injured all the time. I mean, we see ankle sprains, I see fractures, I see strains. Like those are all typical things with dancers. So I think if we can just remember, like, the body is the body, it's just we move it differently. And so then if you don't understand what they do, then we can't always respect that person. And so my suggestion would be, if you've never gone to a dance performance before, like live, I highly encourage you to do so, just to see what they're doing. We have a fall dance concert coming up in November. If you want to come to Belhaven and see what these students are doing, it is fast, it is slow, it is athletic. They are lifting each other, they are rolling around, they're jumping high, they are lifting their leg up to their ear and holding it. Like, they're doing so many incredible things. And so I think, yeah, we need more people in dance medicine and dance science that are willing to spend the time to get to know them. They're spending the time to understand what they do. You don't have to have a background in dance to be in this field. You just have to have the respect of them and what they do.
Yeah, and you even said sometimes you'll practice with them to get a great workout. Even though you're not putting your ankle to your ear, you're still getting a good workout in. But I think you made a great point, because this really is a field that it really works as a servant, because obviously we see the athletes that are making millions of dollars. These professional teams are paying trainers a lot of money. But even on the dance side, these dancers can potentially, this is their career on the line. They can make a lot of money as professional dancers coming from a great program like Belhaven. So having a great athletic trainer now while they're in college can propel them to that next level. And you can really have a huge part in helping these young people's careers that we may not see on an everyday basis, but in that ballet and arts world, they can make a lot of money if they stay healthy.
Yeah, and I think for me, one thing that's become really important over the past few years is really educating my students, so that, because I know that they're only going to be here for maybe 4 years. And so what happens then when they leave me? They're not always going to have an athletic trainer that they can go see like whenever they want to. They're not always going to have a physical therapist. Like, for me, I want to teach them how they can take care of themselves, so that when they go to the doctor, and the doctor says something that maybe isn't completely, accurate, it's like, oh no, I know my anatomy, and this is like, Miss Tori taught me my anatomy, like this is what hurts, like this is where it hurts, this is what I need from you. Like, being able to teach them to advocate for themselves, it's been super huge for me. So yeah, because they need to be able to go out and take care of themselves, because I'm not always going to be here. So yeah,
Absolutely.
we have a really impactful position here.
Yeah, and that would be in any type of athletic training, and I think it's kind of an unsung hero, that you guys are on the sidelines and in the background, but it's such a huge part of people's physical activity.
Yeah.
But I do want to get to these questions. I got some really good ones. These are all ninth graders. This is Shavaka Page, and he asked, "Were you nervous when you first started in this position because of the newness of the field?"
Yeah, Belhaven hired me right out of getting my master's. And I was really surprised that they did that. But yeah, I mean, I think I have 90 students that I am responsible for. And so coming into this, I was definitely nervous about just trying to keep them healthy. It was in the middle of COVID too, so we had like that other aspect to take care of. But for me, I want to keep them healthy. I want to keep them dancing. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself to do that. So I was definitely very nervous. They were new to me. And so I'm trying to get to know them and trying to understand what we're trying to do in this program. And so, yeah, that first year was super nerve-wracking. I think I still get nervous sometimes, and this is my 4th year here. So I don't know if that necessarily goes away, but yeah, I think if you talk to any athletic trainer when they first get into a new job or first coming out of school, we are all very nervous. It's like, when we're in school, we have normally like a preceptor or a supervisor that we're with. So when someone gets injured, it's like you just follow the preceptor. And then when you're on your own and someone gets injured, it's like, oh wait, that's me. Like, I'm supposed to go take care of that. So that's definitely happened a couple of times. Yeah.
And that's a great segue to this question. This is Javion Fields, one of our football players here. And he asked, if a person is injured during a performance or during a game, how do you conduct an assessment on their injury?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that can be difficult. When I was in football or soccer or anything like that, we would go out there and I would just talk to them and be like, hey, like, what do you feel like is injured? They would tell me. I would kind of look at it and just make sure there was nothing broken. if as long as there wasn't anything broken and they weren't in excruciating pain, I would say, okay, let's get up and I'll do the evaluation off the field, just so that the game can keep going. Same thing for performance. Thankfully, I've never had anyone get injured during a performance.
Wow.
On stage. I've never had that happen, thankfully. Hopefully never have to. But the same thing would apply. So if they got hurt on stage, I would just go out there again, look at them and be like, hey, like, do you feel anything broken? No. Okay, like, let's get you up and then I'll evaluate you in the back. And so I try to just keep it going, just because there's so many eyes on us, and I want to give the athlete privacy, so that we can really like get into what's actually going on.
Awesome. I love this question. This is Marquise Newell, and he's a member of our band here. And he asked, what is the most difficult part of your job?
Ooh, most difficult part of my job. I think telling my students they can't dance. That never gets easier. Unfortunately, I've had to do that a lot this semester, or just the time that I've been here, whether they've had a semester-ending injury or they have a concussion. And so it's like, I don't know when you're going to get back, but you can't dance right now. That is always heart-wrenching, because you just look in the person, like, you know, this student, you know that they love to do this. And now I have to tell you, like, yeah, you can't do this. So yeah, I tell my students all the time, I never want to see you injured. I want you to come talk to me, but I never want it to be for an injury. But when it is, they know that I'm going to be there every step of the way to help them get back. So even though I'm telling them something really sad and really depressing, they're going to get better, and I'm going to do everything that I can to help them with that.
Absolutely. This is Michaela Dawson, one of our cheerleaders here and on our homecoming court we just had. She asked, what are your biggest strengths and your biggest weaknesses as an athletic trainer?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one of my biggest strengths is that I listen really well to my students. So when they come in, I tell them, you can come talk to me about whatever is going on. I care about you, not just as a dancer, but I care about you as a human. Because if you're not doing well as a human, you're not going to be doing well as a dancer. So I think one of my strengths is listening to them. I think I'm a hard worker. If I don't know something, I reach out to mentors, or I Google stuff, look through articles, different things like that. So I'm always trying to get better at that. Weakness, I think, can be that you can look at this as a strength or a weakness, but I care a lot. And so sometimes I need to build better boundaries, in terms of like just getting like emotionally involved. Another weakness, I think, is still just learning how to communicate well with faculty and students. And sometimes I think a lot, and so I think that I've told somebody something, but I actually just told myself. And so still just figuring out how to do all of that. But I'm not perfect. I tell my students that I'm gonna mess up, and but I do my best. So they're patient with me.
No, I love this question. This is Caden Myers, one of our football players here. And he asked, what is the biggest thing you have to evaluate when you have to look at a person's readiness to resume physical activity?
I think it depends on the injury. So let's say it's ankle sprain. If you have an ankle sprain, then before I send you back out, I need to make sure that you are strong enough to do everything that you're being asked to do. So for my dancers, can they stand on their toes all the time? So can you do that well without having to come down within 5 seconds, or without being in pain? Do you have your full range of motion back? And so basically, can you do what the class is asking you to do, or your choreography is asking you to do? If you cannot, then I'm not clearing you to fully participate. For a concussion, same thing. If you're still having symptoms, you're not going back to play yet. We gotta gradually get you back to mental and physical activity. And so I try to pay attention to a lot of what they're doing in class. Again, that goes back to being able to watch classes, watching their rehearsals, knowing what they're doing. And so then I can see them in rehab and be like, you're not ready yet. We'll get there, and we can modify things until you're ready, but you're not ready to be fully back yet.
Absolutely. I just got two more. This is Willie Clay, one of our football players again here. And this is a great question. He's asked, even though they are similar, what is the biggest difference between a physical therapist and an athletic trainer?
That's a very good question. You guys have good questions.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest differences is, so like I said earlier, athletic trainers, we are there for the entire injury process. We're there when you get injured. We're there to evaluate, diagnose, rehab you, send you back. PTs are typically there for the rehabilitation side, like that is their specialty. And then I think also athletic trainers, we're trained on how to go about emergency situations.
Yeah.
So you guys have seen in the NFL when these players go down and they have a neck injury or spinal injury, we are trained to be able to handle that situation. So we know how to spine board, we know how to do CPR, we know how to do all of those things to get the person then to the doctor. And so that's a really big difference, I think, between athletic trainers and PTs. And I think PTs and ATs can both be in-house, like within, like for dance, like within the studio and stuff. But typically athletic trainers have a little bit more, we're there a little bit more than PTs can be sometimes. So we have just kind of a different relationship. But I would say the emergency cares is the big thing. And then just being a part of the whole injury process.
Yeah, and I think that's important. If somebody's thinking about getting into this, you're probably going to see some blood at some
Oh,
point,
absolutely.
and you're
Yes.
going to see broken bones. So even though you're trained on all that, if you're squeamish and you have a weak stomach, you might want to stick more on the PT side. But
absolutely,
but unfortunately, that is a reality of sports.
Yes.
Injuries are going to happen. But we need people that are trained to take. I mean, a good example is Damar Hamlin situation last year. Those trainers, when he collapsed, were able to perform CPR immediately and were able to resuscitate him. And that goes back to the type of things you would possibly have to deal with as an athletic trainer.
Yep, I would say, yeah, if you don't like blood, if you don't like broken bones, if you don't like vomit, this might not be the best. I've definitely cleaned vomit off of a football field before. So.
All right, I just got one more. This is Mariah Harris, one of our dancers and one of our basketball players here.
Cool.
And she asked, once you get your doctorate, what is your next step for your career plan?
That's a really good question that I don't know. Yeah, after I get my doctorate, I'm not totally sure. I am currently on a couple of different committees with different organizations. And so I think one thing I would love to continue doing is being a part of different committees, just trying to get people into athletic training, specifically performing arts is something that I'm really passionate about. I love mentorship. So speaking into the next generation is really something big for me. I'm a researcher as well. So I publish articles, I present at conferences. I want to continue doing research about dancers. And I still want to continue working with people. So I think all of those things. And then I want to teach at some point. So I think keeping my eyes open to different opportunities is going to be helpful for me. But to be honest, I don't know. This job that I have now, I said was my dream job. And I was not expecting to get it right out of school. So I'm kind of just like, I'm really enjoying it right now. I don't know what's coming next, but I'm just going to prepare myself for what I can and go wherever I need to. So.
That's awesome. Well, we're almost out of time. And as always, we love having you. It's just such a cool field you're in. It's such a cool area and a new area of athletic training you're in. But before we go, a couple things. First of all, tell us where we can get more information about Belhaven Dance and where we can see performances if they want to come check it out.
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page. I believe it's Belhaven University Dance, something like that. So we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram as well, Belhaven Dance. We have performances happening all the time. So definitely go follow those two pages. Like I said, we have our fall dance concert November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Those are all faculty works. So our faculty created movement on our dancers. We had two guest artists that came outside of Belhaven to put work on our dancers. And then in the spring, we have 3 different performances coming up. One in February, one in March, and one in April. So we always have a lot of things going on, but I would say you can always check the Belhaven website as well, belhaven.edu, and look at the arts page. But for high schoolers, y'all are on social media. So Instagram, Belhaven Dance, and then Facebook, Belhaven Dance.
Yeah, and it's such a great program over there. But the last thing, and I always ask you this about, you're not much older than these kids. I mean, I'm not going to tell your age, but you really aren't that old. And, you know, you've gotten in this field as a Black woman. You see
Yeah.
the need for more athletic trainers of any race. You see the need for athletic trainers in other fields. But watching these kids really think about, especially these young ladies or these, you know, these young Black kids. We'll see have some first. Well, actually, we'll just have some first generation Americans see this later. There's a need for different language speakers in this field. So watching these kids really think about getting into athletic training.
Ooh. I think for those of you that are athletes, think about your athletic trainer. Like, what has your relationship been with your athletic trainer? Has it been good? Has it not so been good? I think we're so unique. Everybody has a different skill set that we can bring. And I think athletic training is it's just so special. It's so unique, and we really get to impact people's lives.
Absolutely.
And not just with rehab, but just on a day-to-day basis, just getting to know people. And so I would say, if you're a people person, if you really love the body, if you love helping people, this is sometimes a thankless job, to be honest. Like, we talked about a lot of the good things, but this is also a really hard job. And there are going to be days where you're burnt out and you don't want to do it anymore. And so I would say you really need to think about, what's your why. Like, I always have to remember that when I'm exhausted, when I don't want to be here some days, I have to remember, like, no, I'm here because I want to see my dancers succeed. I want to take care of them. I want them to be healthy. And so I think, if you don't see yourself in a place, go be that person.
Wow.
Like, if you want to be the first, like, I'm the first Black woman to be the athletic trainer here at Belhaven, right?
Wow.
And that wasn't like a goal of mine. Like, I didn't think like, oh, let me go be the first, but it just happened to be that way. And so I think there's so many opportunities, there are so many doors that are waiting for you to walk through. And so I think, again, you can't be what you haven't seen. And so you can be that person that a kid needed and you don't even know. And
That's awesome.
so my encouragement is just, if you love it, like, do what you love, and keep that at the forefront. And it's going to be hard. There are going to be bad days. There are going to be days you don't want to be here. There are going to be days you want to give up. But I think for me, it's completely worth it. Even on those days when I see my dancers smile, when I see them perform after a really hard day, all of that is worth it to me. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. And your passion just bleeds through. It's really cool to see. But Victoria Fauntroy, they're at Belhaven University, Department of Dance. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Bye.
See ya.